number 10, which is 80% done by somebody else, is 100% freaking awesome. Some of you guys are like, I keep hearing you talking about hiring people, delegating to people. It's just like, how do you find great employees? And I mean, every time I give them something to do, they mess it up. It's like, I might as well just do it myself because it takes less time to do it than to have to teach somebody else and then fix it because they don't do it as good. I get it. But my employees can't do it as good as me. See, there's all these reasons that you believe that, and the only person that can fix that is you. You'll only scale as fast as your ability to delegate, which means you're going to have to learn how to lead people. It means you're going to have to learn how to communicate. It might mean you're going to have to learn a skill called documentation and creating checklists, because having somebody else follow a process. Actually question the meaning of making money. These rules are what allowed me to go from broke 22-year-old to a multimillionaire today. Some of these rules I picked up on my own through my 27-year career as an entrepreneur, and others I learned from some of the highest net worth individuals you probably know. So without further explanation, these are the 13 rules of business. The first rule is to take the credit card. Get paid. Had a kid ask me on this hike I host every Tuesday, the credit card. Get paid. Had a kid ask me on this hike I host every Tuesday, how do I start a business? And I just replied, take the credit card. A business is started when money exchanges hands. Essentially, a stranger gives you money for your product or service. And it's not hard. You can either take cash, you can use Stripe, you can use PayPal, you can use Venmo. Just figure out what you want to sell and ask for it. The payment validates that they actually have a problem they want help with. See, a lot of people will tell you like, hey, go start that business. That sounds great. And you'll go off and build a bunch of stuff, come back, and guess what? They're like, cool, I don't need it. And you're like, you were saying you're going to buy. Don't abuse this. Get them value. Deliver the thing you sold, but don't go running around doing free work for everyone hoping to get ahead. But the truth is, without charging, you don't know if the person actually wants what you have. You don't know if they're the right customer, and you're just going to waste a lot of time. Which brings us to number 2, which is the under-promise and over-deliver. A lot of people start company great, and you'll go off and build a bunch of stuff, come back, and guess what? Cash, you can use Stripe, you can use PayPal.
เมื่อเชียร์ต้องไปกดก่อนมันล้างยังไงก็ไม่ได้เดี๋ยวต้องเอาช้อนให้มันไม่ตัดต้องมือไม่จับอาหาร
You can use Venmo. Just figure out what you want to sell and ask for it. The payment validates that they actually have a problem they want help with. See, a lot of people will tell you like, hey, go start that business. That sounds great. And you'll go off and build a bunch of stuff, come back, and guess what? They're like, cool, I don't need it. And you're like, you were saying you're going to buy. Don't abuse this. Get them value. Deliver the thing you sold, but don't go running around doing free work for everyone hoping to get ahead. But the truth is, without charging, you don't know if the person actually wants what you have. You don't know if they're the right customer, and you're just going to waste a lot of time. Which brings us to number 2, which is the under-promise and over-deliver. A lot of people start companies as like agencies, freelancers, selling SMMA or some other kind of service. And the challenge is that sometimes you say yes to everything so that you can get the business, and then you don't realize how much work it's going to be. What happens is then somebody that gave you the work get pissed off because you can't deliver, but you're not able to do everything. So here's how we solve that. First off, find one clear problem somebody has, and then offer a simple but incredibly effective solution. And then when you deliver it, go above and beyond. That extra 10% will set you apart from everybody else. For example, I've got a guy that details my supercars. His name's Dayton. He is awesome. I've had several people show up. They leave cards on my window. 3 other people showed up and couldn't do basic things. Dayton's never asked me for a single thing. And because he's always shown up and left the car better than I expected, I was so impressed by him going that 10% above and beyond everybody else. But doing the basics, like showing up on time, doing the work as he said he would do, that I thought enough that I wanted to give him a gift to thank him for his work. That's how we over-deliver. Which brings us to number 3, which is simple scales and complex fails. The biggest mistake first-time entrepreneurs make is they overcomplicate what they do. It's hilarious to watch. They could have a working thing, a business, product, service, and totally mess it up. I always go back to what Elon Musk used to say about his engineering approach. He's always looking to remove parts from the requirements, from the product, because a part that is in the product that doesn't need to exist is one more thing that needs to be managed and Q&A'd and could break and could cause other issues. So he's always looking at the requirements and he's always pulling so much stuff out of it that it should not work. And then he says, then I add it back to make the part work again. And that's probably the right answer. Teach your team. It's easy to make something complex. It's actually hard to keep something simple because everybody that joins your team or even yourself, you're like, I want to make it better. And then you do something else. How can I make it better? Add it all back up. The problem is at some point you create this complexity ball. It didn't solve the problem. So you just keep adding. My approach in business is every time I add something, it starts with negative value. Sometimes you need to think about before you add anything, what can I remove? So if you want to keep this simple, I always say start with one clear customer you want to serve, one clear product or offer. Some people call them Godfather offers because they're so good you can't say no. Then one clear way of getting attention, marketing, then one clear way of selling them, and then focus on those 4 for 1 year. Those are the 5 ones. If you put all that into your focus, which stands for follow one course until successful, don't complicate it, you'll get rich. Which brings us to number 4, which is to give to get. And this is a cool one because I learned this back when I was in rehab. I struggled with addiction, ended up in rehab as a teenager. And what I learned through this 11-month process, obviously becoming a better version of me and dealing with some of the pain that I experienced, is that in therapy, they talk about if you want to be sober, you got to help other people be sober. It's this whole idea is that you can only keep what you give away. When I started in business and I thought about like how can I be valuable in business, I realized that if I want more money, I gotta help other people make more money. If you think about it, that all your income is probably about 10% of the value created in the world. I call this the 10% rule, that whatever value created in the world, you're the value created. If you think about it, that all your income is probably about 10% of the value created in the world. I call this the 10% rule, that whatever value created in the world, you're getting 10% of that. So if you're making $1 million, you've made other people $10 million. So the more you give, the more you get. See, most people have a scarcity mindset, so they don't want to give anything away. They're just like, if I give that, then I don't got it. But that's actually flawed. So resources are unlimited. If you can be resourceful, there's unlimited money that's going to come into your world. So the more you give, the more you'll attract. The scarcity mindset will keep you small. The abundance mindset will make you rich. If you want more, you have to become more. So your personal income will never exceed your investment in your personal development because you won't be as valuable to the rest of the world as you could be to make more money. Which brings us to number 5, which is to be impeccable with your word. If you say to somebody else you're going to do something, do it. I can't tell you your life will absolutely change. Your bank account will fill up if you just went 90 days and did what you told other people you would do. People either trust you or they don't, and if they don't, it's because you taught them that you can't be trusted. The idea of being impeccable with your word to me is be the kind of person that when you talk, you actually don't have negativity. It's not only when you make a commitment, you show up. So if it's no, just say no. You don't have to say yes. And then also just be impeccable with your word with others. Do you realize that when you complain about other people, that person's thinking, I wonder if they say that stuff about me when I'm not around. So this is the way I would encourage you to think about it. Everything you say is cataloged and published on the front page of your local newspaper. I personally live my life pretty much on video, so everything I say is recorded, and I do have to be accountable for every word. So the truth is, if you don't have something nice to say about somebody and you wouldn't feel comfortable saying it in front of them, you probably shouldn't say it. And the cool part is that makes you an attractive character to be around. And what I've learned over the years is that you don't create success, you attract success by being that type of person, by being someone others can trust. Their word of commitment is strong and they don't talk crap, they don't complain, they don't bring negative energy into their life. They'll want to have you around. They'll want to go out of their way to help you achieve your dreams. You will be so rich because other people's success will come into your life and impact your business because of your word. Which brings us to number 6, which is you win or you learn. Most people see me and they go, Dan, when's the last time you had a big L? It happens almost on a weekly basis. I'm swinging massively. Less than a couple years ago, I lost $1 million on a company that I bought. Some people would be like, that sucks. And I went, cool. I learned. What I learned, I didn't have the team and the infrastructure to support it. I learned what kind of companies I should and shouldn't buy. I learned the process that I need to install to make sure that situation didn't happen again. And then what was the upside from that is that I found my business partner, Kevin, who I then built Big Band Software with, and now we buy a company every month. So yes, did it hurt in the moment? But did I use that setback to ask myself, what can I learn from this? 100%. And what you'll learn from some of the richest people in the world, they're always pushing to learn so that they can earn. This always brings me back to Napoleon Hill's quote from Think and Grow Rich, which is every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries the seed of equal or greater benefit. Every setback, every challenge, instead of it being like something that scares you, annoys you, bugs you, is actually like, cool, I'm gonna learn. Sometimes when I'm dealing with something really meaningful, the language I say to myself is, great, worthy adversary. It's been a while since I've been exposed and stretched and had an opportunity to learn something massive. Regardless of the outcome, there's always something to gain from the experience. There's never been a situation where I, and I'm assuming you, have learned something when things went well. So in many ways, the setbacks are valuable learning experiences. Stop, reflect, dialogue, contemplate, lock it in, and move on. Which brings us to number 7, which is you don't manage time, you manage energy. Back in my 20s, I would wake up, alarm goes off, and I would work. I would crush. I would just go 16 hours a day, 100 hours a week. And it went on and on for 4 years. And what's crazy is the longer it went on for, the less and less I got done. Why? Because I didn't have a process for getting things done. I had all these plates spinning. I was running around making sure they kept moving because I was so scared that one would fall. Because I actually didn't know why I was being successful. I just know that the more I worked, it feels like it's going to keep going. What I've learned since then is that my calendar is essentially a map to getting things done. That calendar needs to map to my energy so I can get the best work done in the right spots. So over the years, before I had kids, my life looked completely different. I used to stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning, sleep until 8 or 9, and that was my rhythm. Then I had kids and I had these human alarm clocks, and all of a sudden now I gotta wake up at 5:30 in the morning. So I changed my whole life to map to my energy. So for example, first thing in the morning, I create connected to my creator. I literally sit down and I say, okay, here's the big problems I'm faced with. I've got to create these new outcomes. How do I tap into that early morning energy to build something new, to strategize, to think differently so that I can come up with the solution to the problems that otherwise I'd be too close to it. So the mornings for me is really my opportunity to tackle big, meaningful projects. In the afternoon, I will schedule all my in-person meetings. All my meetings are typically after lunch where I can really get into the zone of having conversations, and it just
ข้าว
flows with my energy. You can get more done in those 4 hours than most people do in 12. There's no distractions, there's no concerns, there's no notifications popping off all over the place. I'm dialed in, I'm in flow, and I'm getting the best work done connected to my creative. Which brings us to number 8, which is to play to win, don't play not to lose. When you work, are you working to expand or are you working to contract and protect? Are you in wealth creation mode or are you in wealth preservation mode? Because it's interesting. When you start off, you're like, I'm poor, I want to be rich. So you go and you build. Then eventually, potentially, you get to you're like, I'm in mode, or are you in wealth preservation mode? Because it's interesting. When you start off, you're like, I'm poor, I want to be rich. So you go and you build. Then eventually, potentially, you get to a place where you now have something to lose. So you change the way you approach your day and specifically your finances. People that spend more time trying to protect the amount of money they pay on taxes versus saying, how can I create more money? As a percentage, I want to pay the least amount of taxes, but I want that dollar amount to be massive. And too often people are working in business trying to protect themselves from the downside instead of trying to create more. The reason they do this is because they're shrinking themselves to save. Instead of asking themselves, how can I focus on creating more value? How can I help more people? How can I expand? How can I build cool new things? What are my goals and do they grow me? How can I create opportunity for everybody on my team? Or my vision is so big that everybody's goals and dreams can fit inside of it. Your inner conversation creates your outer world. And today's energy will literally shape tomorrow's reality. So you have to be on the creation mindset, not on the preservation mindset. It's actually 100% the difference between rich people and broke people. Which brings us to number 9, which is to spend money to save time, not time to save money. This is what broke people get wrong, that the rich have understood for a long time. Broke people prioritize saving money, not saving time. I've seen people drive 36 minutes out of their way to get gas at Costco to save 10 cents on the gas per gallon. They don't value their time. Wealthy people, the ones that have the most success in business, are always looking to invest money to buy back time because they know time is the most precious resource. The richest people protect their time. They value it. They put a dollar amount. Is it $100, $300, $500? And then every request on their time, they ask themselves, is this yes worth the investment? Or should I default to it now? They spend money to buy back their time. Once they get that time back, then they're reinvesting it in a few different ways. They're going, can I do more of the thing I'm doing to make me money? That's a good start. Who do I need to become? Some people, their beliefs are what holding them back. And they think, if I go get some sales training, I will make more money. No, you literally have to ask yourself, what do you believe about the world that's holding you back? Do you have money blockers? Do you have people blockers? Do you have productivity issues? Choosing goals in your life to grow you with the time you bought back is exactly how you should reinvest it. If you want my internal playbook, how I've done this, my whole life, built my empire, then go check out my book, Buy Back Your Time. It's available on Amazon, at retailers, at buybackyurtime.com. And it's not only a Wall Street Journal bestseller, it continues to sell more copies every week than the previous week because people are getting so much value from it. And it's dedicated to this specific problem. Which brings us to number 10, which is 80% done by somebody else is 100% freaking awesome. Some of you guys are like, I keep hearing you talking about and it's dedicated to my empire, then go check out my book, Buy Back Your Time. It's available on Amazon, at retailers, at buybackyurtime.com. And it's not only a Wall Street Journal bestseller, it continues to sell more copies every week than the previous week because people are getting so much value from it. And it's dedicated to this specific problem. Which brings us to number 10, which is 80% done by somebody else is 100% freaking awesome. Some of you guys are like, I keep hearing you talking about hiring people, delegating to people. It's just like, how do you find great employees? employees. And I mean, every time I give them something to do, they mess it up. It's like, how do you find great employees? And I mean, every time I give them something to do, they mess it up. It's like, I might as well just do it myself because it takes less time to do it than to have to teach somebody else and then fix it because they don't do it as good. I get it. But my employees can't do it as good as me. See, there's all these reasons that you believe that, and the only person that can fix that is you. You'll only scale as fast as your ability to delegate, which means you're going to have to learn how to lead people. It means you're going to have to learn how to communicate. It might mean you're going to have to learn a skill. You have to learn. You'll only scale as fast as your ability to delegate, which means you're going to have to learn how to lead people. It means you're going to have to learn how to communicate. It might mean you're going to have to learn a skill called documentation and creating checklists, because having somebody else follow a process that doesn't exist and blaming the people is not fair. Anytime there's an issue in my company, I go, is this a people problem or a process problem? 9 times out of 10, it's a process problem. And some of you are like, well, Dan, my work is very creative. I create content, I write books, I design things that nobody else in the world knows how to design. That's where the 10-80-10 rule comes into play. So the 10% up front is the ideation. How do I collaborate with my team to get them on the right track? The 80% is the execution, then doing the work to actually go and do research and create first drafts. So you want to be an editor, not an author. And then the last 10%, that's integration. That's where you take what they've done and your ability and you kind of tweak things, but you weren't involved in 80% of all of that, so you get that time back to go become better. Could you clean your house in 80%? That's where you want to be an editor, not an author. And then the last 10%, that's integration. That's where you take what they've done and your ability and you kind of tweak things, but you weren't involved in 80% of all of that, so you get that time back to go become better. Could you clean your house? Yeah. But having somebody clean your house to buy back that time, even if it's not as good as you could have cleaned it, I know I'm not as good as my cleaner, you then get to reinvest that time on things that are going to make you more money. So stop taking the prideful route of like, I like to clean my car, and I like to mow my lawn, and I like to run my own errands. Use the apps. Think about meal prep. Look at wash and fold. There are so many opportunities for you to get leverage in your life, which brings us to number 11, which is to be incompetent. Most people hire people and then do their work. I had a short go viral where I said, if you want to be rich, be lazy. But if you want to be wealthy, be incompetent. Why? Because you have to stop doing the work. For example, if I owned a restaurant and the chef quit, I'm not going to jump into that kitchen and start cooking people's meals. I mean, nobody wants that. I haven't cooked a meal for myself in a long time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go find another chef. I'm going to solve the problem, not by me putting my time in there, but to actually solve the thing that's broken. See, oftentimes as entrepreneurs, instead of building the machine that runs the machine, we start operating in the machine. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We have to learn the skill to work through being in the machine. Instead of building the machine that runs the machine, we start operating in the machine. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We have to learn the skill to work through people. If we don't, then we'll always be dependent by our business and we won't create something that other people would value. So every time I build a business, I'm always trying to build it in a way that it could be sold, because a company I can sell is actually an incredible company to own. And the truth is, you don't need to have all the answers. Some of the smartest people in the world aren't rich. If it was IQ or know-how, then all these PhD professors would be multi-millionaires, but they're not, because they don't understand that by being incompetent is actually a superpower, because it empowers your people around you to step up and own things. Remember one time I was sitting in my office and all these shelves were empty, and my general manager who runs this company came in and he's like, hey, what are you going to put on those shelves? And I just looked at him. He was confused for about half a second. Then he goes, oh, got it. I was like, exactly. Like, I don't know. You figure it out. Work with the team. I like to talk to you. All the other stuff, the people that own it, they own it. I train them. I don't teach them. Focus instead on helping other people get rich. Invest in that. Build the people. The people build the business. One of my big rules that'll help summarize all of this is train them, don't tell them. Teach them how to be awesome, don't tell them how to do their job. Which brings us to number 12, which is be patient with results, but impatient with action. I get business owners all the time that come to me and they say, I just can't figure it out. I've been trying and it's just not working. And I'm like, for how long? And they're like, for 2 months, 4 months now probably. I'm like, you have to go all in and attack it for like 6 months, a year, 2 years. Most people are so impatient. And then they get down on themselves and they stop doing the thing that could have had some potential to become the big thing because they're not attacking the activity. Here's the way I think about it that makes it completely different from what everybody else does. I am patient with the timeline. If I say 10 years, I'm cool. We're going to do this for 10 years. However, daily, many times, every hour, we're ruthless on effectiveness. We're focused on the activities that lead to the outcome. We're always asking ourselves, like, what are the steps today that I can be impatient about getting done that will stack up and lead to that outcome to make it inevitable? And that's the language. It's inevitable. That if I just am patient and I keep doing it, I keep doing it, I keep showing up, I keep iterating, and I keep getting feedback, that over time, just by being consistent every day, that eventually it'll get better and hit the mark and something will work. This is the frame that I think about when I share this, is the man who loves walking will walk further than the one who loves the destination. Too many of you guys want to be rich, but you don't want to do the work. I mean, one of my mentors, John Maxwell, said a lot of people want to do what I do. They're just not willing to do what I've done. And what he's done is 57 years of showing up every day and writing and speaking, and 90 books later, he's the leadership GOAT. Which brings us to number 13, which is protect your reputation. I remember one time I was sitting down and I was reading number 13, which is to protect your reputation. I remember one time I was sitting down and I was redesigning kind of my vision for my life and being very detailed with all the things I want to accomplish. And I've done cool stuff. Trust me, I'm just getting started and I want to do some bigger things. And it occurred to me that all of those things on my vision board, all the things that I outlined, the goals, the dreams, the impact I want to have, sits on the other side of two things: reach and reputation. That's all brand is. If you think about it, brand is association with other things so that people can build trust with you around whatever you do really well. And then from a kind of pricing point of view, your brand dictates the pricing power. Think about something that's cheap. It's got no brand. It's cheap. It's like $2 for a t-shirt. However, you put a logo, like a Nike logo, and all of a sudden that's a $60 shirt. Why can I achieve that if I have those things? Reach and reputation. Why can I achieve my goals if I have that? Is because now I can move really quick. If I want to connect with people, then they'll say yes. I could go and try to create all this stuff, but a lot of them would only ever happen if the people involved would know about me and want me to be participating in those projects. Some people make the mistake of saying, oh, I want to be well known, I want to be well known. It's like, you want to be known well. You want people to have a positive response. You could be really famous and everybody think you're a ding dong. Or you could be known well to the right people because of your reputation. The only way you do that is a few key things. Number one, you got to deliver. When you make a promise to somebody else, you have to show up and you got to deliver. Second thing is you got to make a decision to go all in. And some people feel called. And what I learned a long time ago is your call-in in the middle of that is all in. And it's deciding to go pro. If you do that, if you want to be world-class like a Warren Buffett, then what's crazy is all the other people around Warren that's in his space will go to him because of who he is and his reputation. So they'll have big opportunities, big luck that just shows up in their life, and they'll bring it to Buffett. Then to make decisions, you have to have the values. You need to know what you stand for, because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. People want to know that they can trust your response because they know how you act. Values for me is making decisions when I'm not around. So I want everybody to know what my values are. So even if I'm not around to speak up, they'd be like, oh, Dan would probably want you to do this. If they know how they can expect you to act, then they have consistency. It's huge. Values, I've got them for my businesses, I've got them for my family, and it all leads into integrity. Integrity is how you react when things go wrong. It's easy to be all like sunshine and rainbows when everybody's making money and all is good. But what about the moment something goes wrong? How do you respond? Because I believe that in those moments, you actually have the opportunity to show your customers how good you've been saying you are. The last thing is to shine your light. You have to decide to be authentically you. You are the original. You want to focus on a niche until you become the niche. So don't focus on a niche. Original. You want to focus on a niche until you become the niche. So don't focus on a niche. Become the niche. Become the best in the world. Become the person that has value. Don't focus on a niche. You are the original.
Authentically
You want to focus on a niche until you become the niche. So don't focus on a niche. Become the niche. Become the best in the world. Become the person that has values and integrity. You are the original. And that is something that you can express, you can own. Nobody will take it. Cool part is it doesn't feel as heavy trying to be somebody else versus just being who you are. And there's enough people in this crazy world that they'll want to do business with you. They'll want to have you around. Your tribe is attracted by your vibe. You just have to shine your light. Those are the 13 rules of business. If you want to learn the only 3 skills you need to build $1 million company, click the link and I'll see you on the other side. These are the 5 strategies you can steal that successful CEOs use to get more done in 12 weeks than most get done in 12 months. Strategy number 1 to get more done is set your boundaries. See, your inbox is nothing more than a public to-do list of other people's problems. On your time. I like to use this concept called the Eisenhower matrix that looks at everything through 2 axes, important and urgent, then use the right response to get people to move things forward. So for example, one of the boxes, not important, not urgent. Well, just send me an email. I don't need to stop and talk right now. Number 2 is important, not urgent. Well, post it in Slack or a team communication. Third is not important and urgent. Send me a text, right? Because it's like, it's going to be there, I'll get to it. Number 4, if it's important and urgent, how about you give me a call? Make my phone ring, because then I'm going to pay attention. There's this funny story where my buddy Chad, he owns a retail store, and he got mad at me for texting him at 6 in the morning because his phone was going off and he was still sleeping. I said, hey dude, why don't you put your phone in do not disturb and then sleep in? He goes, well, it'd be cool to do that, but unfortunately my security alarm for my retail store comes to my phone, so if somebody breaks in, I need to know. And I was thinking to myself, dude, you're not the only person in the world that has this problem as a retail store. Like, you can find a solution. He's routing it improperly. I mean, if somebody's breaking into my house, I want to go to the police, not to my cell phone. I get frustrated with this all the time. I remember one time I was on a finance meeting, and the team's going through all the different aspects, and I'm going, why are we having a meeting about this when this could have been an email that I could have reviewed on my own time, not spent 45 minutes in the calendar? Why? Because somebody booked it. We didn't verify if the agenda was needed. Think about it. Some of the stuff that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, you need to push back, get people to use the right channel so that it doesn't eat up into your time. And it goes way beyond just the channel. Think about like times and days. Like if it's a weekend, don't call me unless there's like a flyer. If it's the morning when I'm creating, then please send me an email. So you also have to protect yourself. You got to share your preference for communicating with not only your boss, your clients, your friend, and then teach them how to treat you by not always responding right away. I mean, some of it you're doing it to yourself. So for example, if your boss has something to share with you, you can ask him to just drop it into Slack or text and not call you at 9 p.m. on Friday night, and you'll get to it. If they're good people and you want them in your life, then they should want you to be as effective as possible. So share your preferences with them about how you like to work. In a world of 300 notifications a day and 24/7 communication, it can be scary to set some of these boundaries, but I'm telling you, this is how the most productive people get things done in their life. Share your preferences, which leads us directly to strategy number 2, which is to lock in your calendar. I remember in my 20s, my calendar was a mess. Honestly, I didn't want anything in my calendar. I just wanted to go with the flow and do what I do. Then I realized that without some constraint, I wasn't getting anything done. I wasn't actually being creative. The reason why is that just by 20s, my directly just get things done in their life. Share your preferences. which leads us directly to strategy number 2, which is to lock in your calendar. I remember in my 20s, my calendar was a mess. Honestly, I didn't want anything in my calendar. I just wanted to go with the flow and do what I do. Then I realized that without some constraint, I wasn't getting anything done, and I wasn't actually being even creative. The reason why is that constraints create creativity. So if you actually want to solve big problems and be creative, you need to have constraints in your life. These are the 5 rules of scheduling. Number 1 is big things first, small things last. You want to put the big rocks, the big projects, the big initiatives early in your day, early in your week to move those things forward, and the small things will literally take care of themselves. Number 2 is your schedule following your energy. So some people are night owls, other people are morning people. If you know yourself, then schedule your tasks, your activities, the projects that are going to be best aligned for the time that you need them throughout the day. And again, ask other people to honor that, so when you collaborate with them, they're getting your best view. Number 3 is batch similar work. I don't know about you, but if I batch all my meetings together, all my deep work together, all my content creation together, all my research together, I'm in that headspace, I get so much more done. So batching things are going to make you more effective. Number 4 is be 100% compliant. If it's in your calendar, follow what it says, even if you don't feel like it. So many people wake up and it's like, I don't feel like it right now, and then they go and they do the little rock instead of the big rock. Follow what you've designed for your life, and it'll build the muscle, and your feelings does not dictate how you act. Number 5 is constantly adjust. Move things around and test and play with it, experiment. It's never perfect. I continuously change my calendar based on kind of new commitments, new initiatives, projects, people in my life as I get more time back, as I get overloaded. And it's an experiment that I'm always evolving and playing. There's this funny quote that I like to tell entrepreneurs all the time, is that small business owners are entrepreneurs who don't value their time. Think about this. If they valued their time, they would be more diligent with their calendar. If you can just follow these 5 rules, you'll be well on your way to getting more done. But scheduling without focus is like planting seeds without sunlight, which leads us directly to strategy number 3, which is kill your distractions. But before we move into that, we've got a goal of hitting 1 million subscribers. So if you aren't already, click subscribe and turn on the notifications. It takes only a second. Did you know in Silicon Valley, where all the tech companies build their products, they have doctorate degree psychologists that are designing the software to distract you? I'm talking about the sound that goes off, the color of the notification jewel, how the notifications show up and where they show up on your app, on your phone. Their whole goal is to get you back into the product. Your average person's getting 300 notifications a day. There's no point on working on your clear priorities if you're not going to do deep work. And to do that, you have to define this strategy for how the world interfaces with you. I like to tell people, ambitious people buy skills, lazy people buy distraction. So I call this strategy the world interface system. This is your API. In software, we call that the application program interface. This is your version of it. So there's 3 ways to set this up. Number 1, and I know I'm going to freak people out right now, turn off all your notifications. And I'm talking everything. I mean, everything in my life is on mute except for my wife. So no notifications on my phone, no chimes, no bells, whistles, nothing. Just go into the notifications and just turn them all off. Your goals are worth more than your distractions. Stop that. Number 2, set check-in times. So now, instead of allowing the apps to just buzz and notify you and distract you, set the times you're going to check missed calls, text messages, emails, or spend an hour on social media scrolling on Instagram. I don't care. Make it a decision you opt into, not because the app told you to. That's different. Number 3, and this is like the real behind the scenes and nobody's going to teach you, is you got to delegate your distraction. And I know it's an advanced move, but check it out. Most CEOs have other people check their email, take their phone calls, essentially look on social media, pull all their Slack messages and then present it to them. I remember hanging out with Richard Branson and I watched his assistant. All phone calls, everything went through her. Her name is Helen. And she collected it all, and only the things she didn't know how to route that she would bring to Richard's attention. Can you imagine how much presence and focus and awareness he had in the moment because things weren't vibrating and distracting in real time? And all that being said, the big idea that I love to share with people is that it's easier to avoid the dragon than to slay it. Don't think like, oh, I won't check my notifications when my phone goes off. Just decide to just turn them off. It's easier to not have the food in your house than to try not to eat it. It's easier to turn off your notifications than to try to stay focused. But it's not just the notifications from your apps that you want to turn off. It's also about trying to figure out what you need to work on, which leads me directly to point 4, which is to pinpoint your priorities. Priorities are all about sequencing. And I love saying this, sequencing equals success. Think about baking a cake. You have 2 people. You have one person that has the recipe and the other one doesn't. They both have the same types of ingredients to bake the cake, but one person follows the process, they have their priorities figured out, and they bake a beautiful chocolate cake. We'll put some peanut butter in that one. And the other person just takes all of those ingredients and puts them together and then creates this big mush of chocolate fudge, right? It's not a cake. Why? Because of sequencing, because of prioritization. And this applies to your life. When I was in San Francisco building my second tech company, I saw firsthand a guy named Travis Kalanick, the founder of Uber. I watched him every day wake up and do the thing that was going to make his company the most money, create the most value, and the thing that he was uniquely qualified to do. I actually wrote about this in my book, Buy Back Your Time, and I call it the drip matrix. Every task you do sits on 2 axes, one of money and one of energy. Number 1 is low energy, low money. These are things you want to delegate, delete, or defer out of your life. The quadrant above is low energy and high money. These are things that over time you want to replace out of your calendar because they take your energy that other people still need to get done that you don't have to do anymore. The third quadrant is high energy and low money. That's called investment. These are things like skills, beliefs, and habits that are going to make you more valuable. The top right quadrant is high energy, high money, meaning that you make money doing the thing you love to do, and I call this production. This is where you want to spend all of your time. The most successful CEOs and leaders in the world do 2 things. The thing that only they can do that makes their team or their business more money. But how do you delegate those low value tasks that suck your energy? This leads us directly to the 5th and final strategy, which is delegate low value tasks. Most people think they have to be an entrepreneur with 10 plus employees to delegate anything. I did at 22, and man, was I wrong. I literally used to do everything. I have team members, they do the work, and I got to do everything else. I got to take out the garbage, I got to make sure they're fed, all the mail's got to be processed. And I remember one time I was thinking to myself, as a CEO of a company that does employees, like, why am I spending every Saturday and Sunday at the office just trying to get caught up? So one day I emailed the CEO of this almost $1 billion insurance company in my hometown. I just asked him, I said, who manages your mail? I'm spending 5-6 hours on a Sunday trying to process all my mail. And he replied, well, my assistant does. And I kind of laughed at myself. It's like, why am I doing it? That was the day I decided to hire somebody part-time to process my mail. The reality is, that's something that's been solved for a long time. It's called meal prep. I know in our town there's 4 or 5 companies that do it. If you're willing to outsource that, I'm talking no more groceries, no more prep time, no more cleanup. Just have somebody else cook you food that's actually designed to make you stronger, better, smarter. You don't have the decision fatigue. That's a simple example of delegating high value activities that somebody else can take care of that you don't have to think about, so you can focus on the thing only you can do. These successful CEOs buy back their time to focus on higher value activities, but you don't have to be rich to start buying back your time. And that's why I created this thing called the delegation ladder. I'm going to break it down for you. Number 1 is automate your workflow. I want you to look at all the work you do in the processing and ask yourself, what tool, maybe AI, and some automation could you install into your life where it would take care of 60-70% of the initial research or doing of the work, and then you can come in and finish it off. But most people don't even think about simple things like hotkeys when they're using some software that they're in all day long to increase their productivity. Number 2 is outsource your errands. I'm talking grocery delivery, meal prep, getting the mail. Like, you might be outsource your errands. I'm talking grocery delivery, meal prep, getting the mail. Like, you might be able to convince a friend to go shop for you, and maybe every other week you guys kind of share that process. There's ways for you to get your time back that doesn't cost anything. It just requires you to be creative with your peer group and to get your for you meal prep, increase the productivity. Number 3 is when they're using some software that they're in all day long to increase the productivity. Number 2 is outsource your errands. I'm talking grocery delivery, meal prep, getting the mail. Like you might be able to convince a friend to go shop for you, and maybe every other week you guys kind of share that process. There's ways for you to get your time back that doesn't cost anything. It just requires you to be creative with your peer group and your friends. And maybe you have a young cousin that wants some extra money, and you could ask them to go buy stuff for you and just make them a list every 2 weeks. Number 3 is delegate your chores. Think about somebody to help clean your house, clean your car. Laundry service, wash and fold. It's a small investment to get a huge chunk of time back. Number 4 is offshore your work. Think about it. There's parts of the world where you can pay them $4, $5, $6 an hour, and they would be pumped to get this work. The stuff you do, the admin level, the research, the booking your travel, the purchasing stuff. You can give them all that and get a bunch of time back at a low cost. Number 5 is hire an assistant. Now this is a more advanced move, but I'm a big fan of having somebody else in my inbox processing in real time and handling all the incoming requests on my time, and then also managing my calendar. You're getting emails, messages, phone calls to you from people that need things from you. Now you also have projects you need to get done. So anytime you're doing that kind of stuff, then you're not doing the projects. Where you want to spend all your time is getting things done that makes you money, not routing and scheduling. So my calendar, my inbox is owned by my assistant. She's full-time and she's focused. And in many ways, she's a clone. She can talk to people, make phone calls, schedule things, make decisions on my behalf, so that I spend all my time doing things that make me money and that light me up. And most people get stuck because they don't have a playbook or they don't know what to get their assistant to do. So if you want my executive assistant playbook, just follow me on Instagram and message me, YouTube EA. I'll send you a direct link to my Google Doc so you can swipe and copy. Even if you're working 9 to 5, you can start today climbing the delegation ladder to buy back your time so that you can focus on building your habits, beliefs, and skills. So that's how CEOs get more done. If you want to learn the 12 hacks to increase your productivity that cost nothing, click the link and I'll see you on the other side. I'm going to share with you the untold truth about money. I personally use all these principles to go from broke 17-year-old to making my first million at 27 years old. And I still use these principles to generate wealth and create abundance in my life today. The first principle is to pay yourself first. My first company, the paycheck came in and I put 60 to 70% in savings and forced myself to live off the rest. It was a forcing function for me to pay myself. My first company, the paycheck came in and I put 60 to 70% in savings and forced myself to live off the rest. It was a forcing function for me to pay myself and to then try to find ways to reinvest and grow. I remember one of my companies I started with my co-founder Ethan, he wasn't paying himself enough and then he didn't have the time to do business stuff. I remember one time I asked him to come to the office and he said he was too busy doing laundry. The CEO of a company couldn't come to the office to brainstorm, to whiteboard with me because he couldn't pay for wash and fold. When you pay yourself first, it then forces you to cut your costs that aren't efficient because you need the capital to grow. If you just keep pouring everything back into the business and you're paying yourself nothing, you actually have a fake business. It's not real. You're not paying yourself what you deserve for the value you've created. So you want to take the profit out of the business first, then operate from the rest. I know a lot of people will say, no, leave the money in the business. It doesn't force you to put your prices up, to figure out your cost structure, to be more efficient in your workflows. I know this might be controversial, but constraints breed creativity. All of the best innovations came from constraints, not having all the resources in the world. When you're starting Now, you want to put the most amount of money aside for the next principle. You are the most important asset, not a house, a car, a watch, an investment, you. Which leads us directly into principle number 2, which is to invest in your skill set, not your lifestyle. It's not your salary that makes you rich. It's your spending habits. My dad used to say this to me a long time ago. It's not what you make, it's what you spend. If you spend $1,001 and you make $1 million a year, you are $1 poor. 25% of millionaires actually make $1 million. It's not what you make, it's what you spend. If you spend $1,001 and you make $1 million a year, you are $1 poor. 25% of millionaires actually live month to month. But rich people don't just save money. The untold truth is they reinvest that money in themselves to get better. The world will pay you based on the value you create. The way you become more valuable is to invest in your skill set so you can solve bigger problems. If you're an accountant, managing people's books, that's not very valuable. If you're an FP&A, financial planning and analyst, that's more valuable. If you're a tax strategist, that is the most valuable. If you combine all of that and you're a deal maker, people are going to pay you 10% of the total deal. It could be $100 million deal and you get a check for $10 million. How do you get that valuable? By investing in your skill set. See, money's a byproduct of your energy. So investing in yourself to have a better mindset, mental energy, physical energy, the time in the day, the skills to move fast, that's going to make you more valuable. Most people say, well, no, I just save my money and I get my 5% a year and I'm going to be rich that way. No, you can literally have $1 million in 12 months by paying somebody that's done it before to teach you how to do it. It happens all around and nobody talks about it. That's why you want to invest in your skill set. So where should you spend that money? Number one is books. Think about this. For $30, you can buy a book that somebody spent their whole lifetime unpacking their best practices that you can learn in 6 to 8 hours. 10 pages every day. Reading for a lifetime of knowledge. That's how you win. So number one is books. Everybody can get them. They're free if you get a library card. Don't make the $30 the barrier of you moving forward. Number two is online courses. And they can range from $50 to $100 up to $3,000. I've spent $8,000 for an online course. But what I learned made me $100,000. So was it worth the trade? Yes. They teach you specific skills that you can use to level up your earning power, becoming more valuable. You essentially want to buy the top courses for the skill. Just ask groups of people what the top courses are and just buy those ones. If you can afford it, start at the top. Number three is events. $500 to $1,000 to attend an event could change your whole life. And it's not only the skills you'll learn, because you will at those events, it's the network. Change at the task group, the trade, online. Take the 30 you win. So number one is books. Everybody can get them. They're free if you get a library card. Don't make the $30 the barrier of you moving forward. Number two is online courses. And they can range from $50 to $100 up to $3,000. I've spent $8,000 for an online course. But what I learned made me $100,000. So was it worth the trade? Yes. They teach you specific skills that you can use to level up your earning power, becoming more valuable. You essentially want to buy the top courses for the skill. Just ask groups of people what the top courses are and just buy those ones. If you can afford it, start at the top. Number three is events. $500 to $1,000 to attend an event could change your whole life. And it's not only the skills you'll learn, because you will at those events, it's the networking. It's the other people. If you go to an event and meet one or two other people, they could become allies, friends, peers that are on that same journey that you're on. Not only will you learn faster because you can learn from their opportunities, but you'll also have somebody to call when you get in a pickle. That is invaluable. Number four. Four is group coaching programs, and these can range from $1,000 to $5,000 up to $50,000. They all depend, but the more you invest, the higher quality of the knowledge, the faster you can move. There, you're not only going to learn the skills, you're not only going to get the network, but you also get some accountability because you have coaching to show you what it looks like to bring you into their world and literally unpack their world for you to see. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once your mind expands, it can't contract. And group coaching programs are one of the best ways to do that. Number five is one-on-one coaching. Now, this is an advanced move, especially if you hire somebody that's really skilled. But getting in front of a person that has been there, doing it, operating today, to be able to show you how to do it can be the biggest ROI on your time and your money. I've always had personal coaches because I like speed. I want to talk to the person that's worth $500,000 that's built a massive media empire so that I can calibrate my ideas with their strategy. And I don't ask them what they've done. I say, if you were me, based on my resources, what would you do today? Think about being someone that wants to go to the Olympics. If you met somebody that was going to the Olympics and asked them who they coach with and they said, well, I don't have a coach, would you take them serious? If you're serious, sometimes you got to go all in on working one-on-one with a coach so that you get that level of attention, strategy, and speed to execute on your dreams. But you won't be able to spend that kind of money if you're scared of losing it, which leads us directly to principle number 3, which is don't fear Money. Every human is born with a set of money stories. We adopt them through our environment, through conversations with people we admire, like our parents, like our friends. And all of a sudden, these money stories are dictating our money decisions. I mean, I had this crazy belief that I thought that I needed to go bankrupt if I wanted to be successful because I'd read that the 3 people I admired at some point in their life all went bankrupt. Dave Ramsey, Walt Disney, Henry Ford, they all went bankrupt. So I used to believe that if I want to be successful like them, I have to just get it out of the way. Think about the types of decisions I allowed myself to make thinking that that was the norm, good or bad. I'll tell you, they were horrible. I put myself in opportunities that are risks. I was exposed to losing my whole net worth. Luckily, I never went through it, and I saw that I had that belief, and I fixed it. I mean, you might have a belief that rich people are greedy or bad or evil. If you believe that rich people are greedy, bad, or evil, are you going to push really hard to become a rich person? Most people wouldn't. The more you judge rich people and fear money, the more you push it away. So what you want to do is you want to rewrite your beliefs around money. So I love to say things like, I have wealth. I have unlimited resources. I am rich. You don't have money problems. You have mindset problems. And they're reflected in your bank account. It's all about being more resourceful. You want to create from a place of abundance and watch your life transform. Audit your money beliefs. All of those should be challenged one at a time. Write them down on a piece of paper and really ask yourself, is it true? Where did that come from? Who taught me this? And knowing what I know today, is that actually true? The untold truth here is that money will only amplify who you already are. If you're not a good person, you won't be a good person. If you're a great person, go get rich because you'll be an incredible person. Which leads us directly to principle number 4, which is money is a tool, not the goal. I became a multimillionaire at 28, and then